So you finally want to fix that trash act of yours. And well, you're in luck, cause that's exactly what today's video is going to be about. What's going on everybody, it's me Szer here, and today we're going to take a look at the 5 best tips to help fix up that act in no time. So now, without further ado, like and subscribe and let's get right into it. So for the first tip, I've got something which I already kinda covered in my beginner guide, however it's so important that I really just need to mention it here again. And I'm of course talking about this cute little fella down here. It's the hit error and, seriously, use it. It just straight up tells you what you're doing wrong. So what I want you to do is, if you haven't selected it already, do so. Then you want to scale it up and then during gameplay, as soon as your axe starts to dip, just look at it. If it's to the left, you're too early, and if it's to the right, you're too late, and if it's all over the place, well, you're just bad. Nah, just kidding, it just means that you aren't following the music properly. But don't worry, we can fix all of that. So let's start with the first two cases, cause they're basically the same. If you're too early or too late, often that's just happening if you play a map with like 0.1 or 0.2 higher AR than the map you played before. Cause even though you should just be listening to the music for cues, we all still somewhat rely on the approach rate. And for that, just give it a few retries and it should sort itself out. Or alternatively, you can try to consciously adjust your tapping to be a bit earlier or later depending on what you need. Like, this is going to be a bit tricky cause you kinda need to get a feel for it, but it definitely helps. And as for your timing being all over the place, well, for that one, let's move on to tip 2. Hit sounds. Some people love them, some people hate them. And as for myself, I also quite like them, cause they've been a massive part in helping me fix up my act. Cause they kinda just help you stay in rhythm, plus they give you some feedback on your clicks, which personally, especially coming from Taiko, I've grown to really depend on. So if you wanna use them, just get ones you like and then turn them all the way up. And if they're still too quiet, just turn down the music and turn up overall volume. Like personally, I have the music at 40% and hit sounds at 100. But seriously, just put them however you want. And that's basically all there is to it. And for tip 3, I would recommend that you play finger control maps. Or basically any map with awkward patterns. So basically older maps, breakcore maps, or the few good unranked maps that are out there. Cause even though they most certainly won't give you any PP, if you can play the weird patterns well, playing 1-2s will be a cakewalk in comparison. Now for the next one, seriously, just play easier maps, cause seriously. Especially with newer players, a big reason as to why their act is so bad is because they started playing maps that are way too hard for them way too soon. Plus, I mean, even if that's not the case for you, it's just common sense that if you struggle at the maps you're currently playing, you're probably going to have an easier time on the maps that are a bit easier. And sure, it's going to suck for your climb for a while, but over the long term, it's definitely better. Cause when you then eventually return to the maps you were playing before, but finally can get some good act, you will actually gain a lot more PP. And I mean, in general, act is actually really important for your PP, so even if you went down by like half a star, if you increased your act enough, you might still end up getting some. Now for the final tip, actually push yourself by increasing the OD on the maps you play until they are outside of your comfort range. And whether you do that through adding hard rock or through actually changing the map file, it doesn't really matter. All that is important is that you do it. Cause while yes, of course, it will lead to an even worse act on the map, play that for a while and you'll see that when you go back to a normal OD, it'll feel a lot easier. And I mean, cause compared to what you were just playing, it actually is. And while I wouldn't recommend that for speed or anything, for OD it really works. And lastly, I actually have another tip for you, but because 5 looks better in the thumbnail, this one is actually for free. Now, I wasn't 100% sure if I should even include this, because typically I would assume that people, before they come to a tutorial like this, at least tried it before. But if regardless of what you do, your act still stays terrible, like no matter what you do, you always click too early or too late, just check out the offset wizard. Like typically it should just work fine if you leave it at the default settings, and if you set it wrong it might cause even more issues, but if nothing else helps, it is probably an offset problem. So just download an offset timing map, there's a link in the description. And then just adjust it until the beats line up with the bars. And with that, we've covered everything I wanted to get into this video, and I really hope I could help you with it. And if I did, please don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. And also, if you have any other advice, please leave it in the comments down below. And with that, see you next time.